Mm-hmm. All right, all right. All right, so today we got a couple of movers up here. GRRR, Rivian, Tesla, PWM, NIO, EW, BABA, PLTR, LCID, and TOP. So we got our top 10 volume movers up here above $2. Anything below $2, I probably won't see. I do not have a scanner set up for that because I don't do well down there. But anyway, let's go and look at some of the reasoning behind some of these moves. Let's start with our top volume mover there, GRRR. Gorilla Technology Group Inc. Gorilla Technology Group signs contract to deploy massive smart government project in Egypt. Smart government, we'll see what happens with that. Let's look back a little bit. So the last ones was 10 days ago, news 10 days ago, and news like a month ago. So let's read into these top two here. Multi-year contract is significant. Good morning, Donnell. Multi-year contract is significant milestone in Taiwanese safe city market. 5 telecom network investigation. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen here. Okay. So Gorilla Technology Group wins multi-million-dollar 5G telecom network investigation project with Taiwanese law enforcement agency. Do we see any money talk? Not on this one. Okay. Gorilla Technology will implement government security convergence solution in Egypt, largest contract in company history, tangible success in globalization strategy. Looks like the contract worth more than 270 million over 3 years. So that's about 90 million per year that they'll be bringing in. If this contract, let me see how solid this contract is. Represents the largest customer win in Gorilla's history. We're extremely excited to execute the contract and officially embark on what we expect to be a long-term relationship with the government of Egypt. This is the largest project we have ever won, and inclusive of our recent win in Taiwan. We have now secured 300 million worth of projects this quarter. Okay, so I wonder, is that just in this quarter? And they say it's secured, so they actually have this money, I guess. We could not be more excited by our momentum. But that word secured, I don't know. Is that a figure of speech, or have they actually have the money in hand, have the capital in pocket? Okay, let's jump back over to our scans. What's next? So GRRR has some pretty good news, up 67%. What's the float on this thing? All right, float is 22.81 million. Pretty low float. A lot of insiders in there. Operating not huge in the red either, and they have some levered free cash flow in the green here. So they've got some cash to spend. Let's go to profile. 244 employees. It's a software company based in the United Kingdom, London. Software and infrastructure. Gorilla Technology. I wonder, do they have the keyword AI? I wonder. I see it. So this is another one of those AI plays, provides video intelligence, Internet of Things, to security and edge content management, hardware, software, and services in the Asia Pacific region. The company operates through three segments: video IoT, or video Internet of Things, security convergence, and other segments. It offers intelligent video analytics, AI models for various verticals, such as behavior analytics, items using, did I just jump? No, yeah. Behavior analytics, people face recognition, vehicle analysis, object recognition, and business intelligence. Now, this is actually AI. This is like the other news is like, oh, we are kind of AI. This is AI news. And a business intelligence that can scan video for patterns and distinguish specific items using AI algorithms and metadata. The company also provides information technology and operational technology, security convergence. Okay, so I've pretty much seen enough. We got AI all through this description, so that's probably why it's so hot right now out of UK. Let's look over here on BAM SEC and see if they have any shelf registrations or anything like that. No shelf registrations. GRRR. Short squeeze, shares float 36. So it's a little bit higher than the Yahoo was saying. Yahoo was saying the shares float was 22, but still a relatively low float. Insiders 36%, institutions. Let's jump out here to, where's FinViz? Okay, shares float, and this one's a little bit higher. So it had a 22 at 22 million in the float on Yahoo, 30 something in the float on Short Squeeze, and then a 46.99 on FinViz. So just keeps increasing the float. It is not optionable, but it is shortable. All right, so let's jump back over to our scan. So on our scan, we have in the number 2 slot Rivian. We've seen Rivian for a couple of days on continuation. It did get up there and touch. It did get up there and touch the 23s during pre-market on Rivian. So the high of this candle was 23 flat there. And you know, Rivian was definitely more of a swing type play, higher float. I did take a trade on it, but I wasn't holding this thing. I wanted to see a day trade and I wanted to see it get up. I bought on this day right here, or let's see, 2 days ago at the 975 was my average, and I was like, it's not gonna give me a day trade, whatever. And I was trading in the morning, of course. And it didn't give me what I wanted to see in the morning, so I said, oh, okay, it's not following my plan. It started breaking down to 975, so I went ahead and got out for a little bit of a green trade, but definitely not red. And then it came back and tested this same level here at the 1974. And with those higher floats, with these larger float ones, it just takes time. And I'm like, okay, either you're going to do what I want now, or, you know, I'll see you when I see you. Because I had entered that with the basis that it would be a day trade. Okay, so GRR coming down. Now let's look at the daily charts for some of these. So GRR, let's start with this one. I see a level of consolidation down here under the 2. I do not want to see this thing under 2. But I also see a level right here of the 271 that could be an interesting level right there, right around that 275, right under the $3 to see what it wants to do. But we'll kind of see what the action is. Another thing that I was noticing this morning, and it has been getting increasingly worse, is that TOS is getting more and more and more behind Street Smart Edge. And what I mean by that is, like, let's look at the volume here on Street Smart Edge. We see that GRRR has a volume of 12,300,000 something, right? And then when I go over here to TOS, the volume is 11,000. So it's almost a million shares behind Street Smart Edge, which means that the time and sales and the level twos are behind as well, right? And I mean, I checked it a little bit just to kind of see the difference back, I think at the beginning of the year, and it wasn't that bad. But it's getting increasingly worse. Almost a million shares behind Street Smart Edge. So definitely, this is why I like to do cross analysis here with two different platforms. Because if I was just trading on TOS, I would be a million shares behind, a million shares of movement or action behind Street Smart Edge. So definitely take that into consideration. And plus, both of them are free sources. I fill my orders. I get my orders filled at Street Smart Edge. So you know, just take that as you will. Do your own analysis. Look between the platforms and see if you notice those differences like that. Because I don't want to be behind the curve on any of this trading. You know, you're taking a trade and you're like, oh, why did that happen? Well, if you had another platform, you might have seen that coming. And that's not to say Street Smart Edge is the best, because Street Smart or Charles Schwab owns both of them. So it's like you could have other differences in other platforms. But I want to have the most relevant information. If I am going to be behind on something, I want to make sure that I know about that difference, that speed difference. And that's probably another reason that people use there's like this scanner here is specifically TOS, but that's probably why people use like trade ideas and things like that, because they're real time and not so much. And I have all of my TOS stuff set up for what they call real time, but I am definitely a million shares behind there. So just letting y'all know on that one. But I actually take my trades based. So I basically use TOS daily charts. I have the other charts set up here, but I just don't use them. The 4 hour, the 1 hour, the 15 minute, I just don't use them over here. I usually am looking for TOS to show me the obvious support levels here. So like back here where we see this 275 that I was calling out up here, if we extended that line backwards, we can see that there was quite a bit of a dip right there under the three before. Right at 275, right above the $2, right about 70 cents of range right there. Donnell says GRR not doing much. Well, GRR, we'll see. It has high relative volume. Relative volume right now is 8.26. Majority of the times, majority of the things that I trade that move big are relative volume of 5 and higher. So this one could continue up as it gets more volume and recalculate as well as it as the open comes into play. Um, we also have Rivian. We'll have to see what Rivian wants to do. It's had what 2 or 3 days of continuation into this weekend. So definitely tested this level of the 21, got through the level of the 21. Does it want to consolidate, or is it on a tear? Does it want to continue higher? We can see on the daily chart had a definite bottom down here, 13, had a gap here from 16 up to 17, and has been very, very strong out of these levels. It's filled all the gaps to the upside. But we'll see. Very strong movement there. And it has a top. Let's see. This top right here looks like the 21. We'll just call it 22.25-ish. 22 and a quarter. Somewhere up in there. We'll see what kind of action it gives. Or actually, what price is it at now? 22.73. So 22.73, it is a little bit higher than that right now. 22.73. Okay. So we got a little bit of range here. We'll see what happens at this previous top. And yeah. And let's see if any other news has come out. So Rivian's exponential move versus Apple's incremental grind. Rivian stock price target. Let's bring that over here. Rivian stock price target raised to $30 from 25 at Wedbush. Social media or social buzz. Wall Street stocks mostly declining before the bell. Rivian Automotive price target 30. Okay, so this is a bunch of new price targets for $30. Okay. A lot of times when they put out when something has gone up on Catalyst and then it gets a price target, it consolidates and people think. So I'll be very careful of jumping in there and thinking, oh yeah, it's going to 30 today. We also have PWM up here 133%. I don't know if anybody's watching that one. Um, it was a IPO on the 6th, so yesterday, and now this is, and they also have a, so this is their public offering, and we'll see what happens with PWM. Doesn't really have any obvious levels, doesn't have a whole lot of data on it. The last true consolidation down here was like 536, and then it's got this up here at 1064, so definitely has a ways that it can move down if it wants to. I'll put that in as support, maybe like around the 525-ish level. But it's up at $12 right now, 127%. But if we look at the volume is 3 million. Definitely not getting as much love as these top two or top three, Tesla, Rivian, and GRR. This week I did pick up some more INDO on the bottoms. I picked up some what was that other one? AGNC or something like that. Picked up some dividends, picked up INDO, and I'm looking for INDO to be a swinger position. And I've also been looking at SoFi, seeing if it's going to come down with the rest of the banks. But we'll see. Very small positions in those swing positions. I say very small. They're it's a building phase. Looking to swing those into the next coming months, especially the INDO one for the winter time as oil starts to resurge as it does every year. We'll definitely be looking at that. Lucid here. And the reason that I'm focused on those and focused on a lot of the more cyclical type movements, things that happen every single year, is because they keep coming out with so much uncertainty and the things that may not happen every year. Like this whole tech stock boom, the banks continue to rise and fall, and they're trying to figure out this new currency system, whether it's going to be instituted or not. It's a lot going on with the money management system. So I wanted to try to dip into some things that are more cyclical, like utilities, oil, gold, silver. You know, the things that really don't variate or have a lot of variations, or they have very obvious variations, seasonal variations. We know during the summertime it's going to be hotter. A lot of people aren't going to be using like a whole lot of heating. They may be using some cooling things, but not a lot of heat production. Um, so kind of getting into some of that to prepare for the winter. It's almost like farmers, you know, when you preserve food for the winter. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, get some pickles and do some different jellies, make some syrup, all in case of the winter. You know, just collecting during the summertime. And a lot of times during the summertime, a lot of investors are on those go on vacation and take trips and do all of that. So it's like, you know, they may still be active in the market, but they're not as aggressive, right? A lot of people be like, oh, the market's just dead. No, they're looking. They're definitely looking. But the aggression level, the pure like let's go take somebody's shoes isn't as, you know, isn't as visible. during these summer months. It's still happening. It's definitely happening. You get into the wrong stock, you will lose your shoes. Anyway, we got about 10 minutes to the bell. And still looking at pretty much the same, nothing new popping up. We got a bunch of stuff that is kind of competing in the $1 million level. Oh, I see something new. CSTL here, 19 bucks. What is the news on C Castle Biosciences to present new Decision DX? Head and neck society. So this is some kind of, oh, for head and neck cancer. Okay, so CSTL. Let me add that up there. CSTL. Only right around 2 million shares traded though. And it's crazy. Like this one, CSTL, if we look at this volume over here, 1,926. If I jump over to Street Smart Edge, that one is pretty close. That one's pretty close. But then we look back up here at GRRR, 13 million versus 12 million. Like, what in the world? Some of the tickers are like right there with each other, and then some are just off. That's crazy. But just out observing, looking, watching, being cognizant. PWL, large pullback off of that 13 level. Like I said, there's no real obvious dip where I could see like really big money getting in this one yet. It's a fairly new one, but I could be absolutely wrong, and this one may be the one that pops. We'll have to see and let the people decide. But right now, the people's decision or the people's choice award goes to GRR and Rivian. Right now, if we look at everything under these two stocks, GRR has doubled everything and Rivian has doubled everything under it. So these are the two that I would be definitely watching on the day. Rivian not so much for a trade, just seeing if Rivian goes into a consolidation mode. And I also want to be aware of where the SPY is. The SPY dropped back under the 440s, back into the 438s. Doesn't mean it's going to continue down, but just to, keep it in mind what it's doing on the day so far. Good morning, GD. Let's see. Night. Okay. Why is that coming up first? Okay. So let's see if everything else gets pushed out. 7 minutes to the bell, man. Friday, beginning of the month, or I guess the end of the first week of the month. So yeah, I would be interested in the level of maybe the 260s. If it comes down there and tests that level 275, could be a possibility for GRRR. And then as far as Rivian goes, I just want to see it not break out of this 2022, right? Well, break over the 23s and just continue. That would be very, that would probably take everything away from GRRR. And let's look at CSTL. What kind of obvious spots does it have? So it closed on at 1328 and gapped up here to the 20. So it gapped up into like a previous range of looks like buying at the 1960s here. 1950s or 60s up there. And this has been touched before, and we've seen buying off of this level before. But it's got to compete on the day. It does not have a super high relative volume. Most of the things that we trade that go crazy have a relative volume of 5 or higher. GRR is definitely 5 or higher. And CSTL right now isn't even at a 1. It's got some range, but it's like the relative volume is just not there. It does have a lower float, 26 million. And let's actually go and look at that real quick. We have 4 minutes to the bell. CSTL. So the float on this one is looking like 25.57 million according to Yahoo. Insiders, very low insider holding, very high institutional holding according to Yahoo. Let's go somewhere else. CSTL. 25 million. What about the insider owning? Yeah, still high on the institutional holdings. And has the automatic shelf registration on it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Let's see. Yeah, so that's automatic shelf registration within last year. They can do that at any time. I'm good. I'd rather not even play that ball game. As for my syllabus, day trade, day one syllabus, today is our first day seeing GRR on the map. Looking for something. So it is day one. Looking for something over $2. It's at 353. High relative volume, 5 and above. Ticker without a history of giving back gains. We didn't see pump and dump type activity. Big wicks pulling back. Ticker with obvious support levels or resistance. I was looking at that 275 ish level. Abnormally large percent gainers. It is at 68% right now. And tickers with under 100 million in the float. We did see a couple of data points deviations on Yahoo. They were saying it was like 22 million. And then we saw on Short Squeeze it was 30 something million in the float, and then we saw on FinViz it was 40 something million in the float. So I don't know what it's gonna be. Then we're looking for tickers with catalyst. So it does meet these criteria, and the last one will be the competing tickers. Will Rivian do something like double or triple the volume? And we'll just keep an eye on that. I had a little calculation for share size and then factors that will cause me to increase whatever share size that I come up with. Overall trade win percentage. Have I been winning? Have I been making good decisions in the market? Catalyst strength, pre-market volume. We definitely have pre-market volume here, near clear levels of support or resistance for me specifically trying to go long support. Market environment, which is everything that is happening within the market, all the interest rates and everything, a collective environment of the market, looking at the SPY and knowing what it's doing, and competition on the day, and then past knowledge or history of the stock. We did look back on that to see the history. We saw last December it was in this point again. It's got this big gap here, and we'll see what happens today. and the market is about to open. So let's get to it. GRR. Want to see that thing drop. Rivian already over 23. Already putting in that work trying to catch up with GRRR. All right. Getting a nice little pushback. This first couple of minutes. See the performance of the top 5 here. Who wants to stand up and be the one? Who wants to hold their gains? And the only way you can tell who's going to hold their gains is we need to see them drop. Drop into a level where it's like concrete and it's like, yeah, we don't want to go any lower. That's enough. Nice. Rivian showing us a little bit of dippage. GRR. Hopefully it can go ahead and break down the 325s and get on down there towards the 3. PWM into a halt right off the get-go. So it's definitely going to fall behind the competition being held still like this as an IPO. If we look out here on the daily chart for GRR, this is the level that I'm interested in down here at the 275s. If it can enter that support level. And this support level has been tested multiple times. So 1, 2, and then this will be a third test of this level at the 275s. Oh, okay, let's go back up here. Getting a little bit of a push. Had a high up here of the 375. May not give me the drop that I want. $17 million shares traded on this thing. TOS still a million shares behind. Rivian holding up that 23. 4 million shares behind GRRR. Not seeing many things over 10 million shares traded yet either. Getting that high relative volume. If we look at the relative volume explosion from the open on GRR, we can see the relative. So usually the things that go crazy are like over 5. This thing has 76 in the relative volume. And CSTL is the only other thing that's kind of close relative volume. But that automatic shelf registration is definitely distasteful on CSTL. Donnell said road GRRR entry 355 up to 371. Nice. Let's see if we can get a little bit of dippage. There we go. Come on, push on down, baby. Push on down to my levels here. 275. 20 million shares traded on GRRR. And at this point, we can see that this level here, 379, could be a point of resistance. I'll go ahead and put a red line because I'm thinking that's going to be resistance. If it breaks this, I'll change this to white because I don't know what it is, support or resistance. But I do like this dipping. So what are the things that we've done on today? One, we've identified catalysts. Two, we've identified high relative volume stocks that have the potential to give us big plays. Three, we have not looked at the average true range. GRR right now is showing an average true range of 25 cents. So how much could I be looking for to get off of this with a 25-cent range? I don't really know. I'm just going to enter at the level, the obvious level, and see what it wants to give me. Um, as for Rivian is holding over the 23s and is catching up very quickly with GRRR. If it begins to outperform GRRR, I'll have to kind of recalculate my decision if I want to actually take GRRR. Especially if Rivian starts to rip up to 24s and starts to really take off, it's going to be a problem. PWM not really doing anything but chopping around with 100. And like I said, we look at competition. A lot of people get caught. They see, oh my goodness, it's up 90 something percent. This one's got to be the one because it's the biggest gainer. Not by People's Choice Award. You better look at that volume. You don't think it'll go to 270? Yeah, you know, yeah. But 270 is the obvious point that I would be willing to buy it. A lot of times, I've traded and I'm like, man, I see this obvious point, but man, I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss out. And I get in and I have the obvious point mapped out. And I'm like, well, okay. I'm like, man, well, maybe I should have waited. And then most of the time it gets down to the level that I'm looking at and then it pops. I'm like, oh, if I would have just waited, oh my goodness. So I don't want it to play with my plan. I want to trade obvious levels. Even if that obvious level continues downward a little bit, I'm okay because I'm in a position where I I'm following my plan, I guess. I guess would be the position. No matter what it does up here, it can have all the distractions. If it drops to that level, it's go time. Rivian getting on up to the 2350s, and this is what I was afraid of. Look at this volume. Rivian about to step over GRRR very quickly. So this is the competition on the day we are talking about. And let's actually look at TOS on Rivian. And let's see, Rivian. We can see that this was the point that I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't hold above this. So this is another gap. How many gaps is Rivian gonna do? It did one gap from 16 up to 17, kind of consolidated in here. Gap filled this gap from 19 up to 20, came back down, and now we're seeing another gap up. Another gap up. So we're just gonna have to watch and see if GRR can still get attention on the day. It's not over yet. It's still on the top 10, but being very vigilant on that one. 2350s, 2360s. Very high relative volume on GRR still, though. Almost 100 relative volume. 94.57, and it continues to go up as the volume continues to spill in. So definitely not off the watch. CSTL also has relative volume over 5, but look at the difference. This is 95 and this is 6.79, and plus this one has a automatic shelf registration, which I know is keeping people out of CSTL. Nobody wants any part of automatic shelf registration. Rivian, NIO. Wait a minute. So here's the 24 test on Rivian. A whole lot of action up here. Now, if Rivian starts to double GRRR, then I'm just going to be like, well, today might not be the day. Looking at the other stocks here, though, none of them have even breached 10 million. The only thing that's breached 10 million, Tesla, GRRR, and Rivian. So those are the top three that I would be watching. I think PWM is halted downward right now. Yeah, halted downward on PWM. Just horrible for that stock. Almost seeing a 24 tap on Rivian. Straight up. 2387, 2390s. 27 million on the bank. GRR giving it time to splash down. So Rivian up 10% on a day. This is a huge move for this stock. If we know the float of this stock, we know how big this move is. So let's go Rivian. And then the float of this stock is 613.35 million. So how much capital is it causing this thing to go from what, 19 in this consolidation, 1920-ish, up $3, moving like this? This is a big float stock too. $29, almost 30 million on the board. What? People, what are we doing out here? Oh, I see now. Logged into um my client is kind of talking to me right now. I need to pull that up real quick. A lot of talking going on Friday. Friday is always something serious, man. Come on. Anyway, Rivian continuing to head towards the 24s. Yeah. Let's see what kind of issues you're having. Let me get in here. Three six. Yeah. So looking like that 24 break is going to end up happening here. Very, very bullish on Rivian. And GRR struggling to keep that attention. I hope it does. Just fall, baby. Okay. Come on, baby. Let's get it. I'm gonna make sure that server is acting right. Okay, so it is up. Yeah, everything's up. Let's see. Rivian coming on down. Okay. All right, so I need to make this bigger. Ooh, this is bright. Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, so let's go to what in the world kind of. Bruh. Oh my gosh. If I can, we'll see if it wants to play. All right, now what is she having problems with? What in the what, bruh? Okay. Mm. All right. Need to go back in. Sorry you guys. I'm in and out of the trading right now. I got this client that is contacting me and I need to handle these things over here. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. I'm gonna continue to watch GRRR, but yeah, I got to get over here and get this handled real quick. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you like the content, definitely don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll be back on Monday morning, but yeah, duty calls. So as always, another trading day, not even in the books. I'm still gonna probably continue watching for my levels to get tested, but you know, just being patient. And I will update you guys in the Discord. The Discord link was dropped into the chat. If you want to be in the Discord outside of streaming, that's where I'll be. I'll talk to you guys and everything. But yeah, that is it for me today. You know, things come up, life, right? But as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. let's see.